Fuck.
Do you like my new red
Ooh,
mic arm?
Look at you.
I only got it red because it was cheaper than the black one by 50 cents.
That doesn't make any sense because red is cool.
I know. I could have got a teal one for even 50 cents cheaper, but I thought that was really good.
Yeah, don't go that far. Don't go that far.
Respectable 71 in here.
Is that what you like to work with? 71? I think it's actually higher than that. I think, isn't it like 74? Because each notch is 2 degrees.
72 then.
Oh.
Matt's been fucking with you.
Oh
man.
What just happened there?
You have to talk into like the side of it. So like,
okay.
Where the logo is where you want to talk in. I mean, you don't want to actually talk into here. But
I'm not.
I had to explain that to Aaron, so I'm just telling you.
That's
Aaron
fair,
was
I guess.
Aaron was adamant that you used.
We did a podcast
like
with
this.
26 episodes, and Aaron was trying to tell me that you talk into this, and I said, Aaron, these are the same exact mics.
That's
We
what.
Never. Ever
That's what the
did that.
Rapsters look like.
When they say, "Man's not hot."
It's not hot.
I was wondering if you had seen that yet.
She still hasn't, but
Still haven't.
she's upset because
Still
there's like a
upset.
crumb on her or something, probably.
Man's not hot.
Once. So you guys are old pros at this by now.
Oh, Cam subscribed. That's awful nice of him. Unless that was
Nice.
just Marianne's account. You know, when people get married, they just share everything.
That's true. Whether or not they like it. Is this the live pre-show portion?
Yeah, I'm just making sure the audio is working.
Tweet that link, son.
All right.
Tweet those
I don't know
deets.
if I'm gonna be able to have you in here. It feels like you're gonna be disruptive. Don't like that. Don't like any of that.
Tweet those deets.
I already hate it.
Don't like how my voice sounds.
Yeah. Gotta get used to it.
So are you guys actually over here like watching it
No.
while you do it? How do you do the chat? How do
Tony-
you know? How
Tony
do you know
normally
we
has it
chat?
up.
Gotcha.
What do you think of that beverage?
I actually really like it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give it a super positive review right in front of a person who wasn't allowed to drink
Go
it.
for it.
It's really, really good.
Nice. How
Gator,
dare you?
Gator's not drinking beer right now.
Gator's an alcoholic.
Yeah. I've got my chips.
Most alcoholics are sober.
Salt and vinegar?
Potato chips.
But no, we've never had like double IPAs before because sometimes regular ones are like too hoppy. So I'm like, oh, a double IPA will be awful. And then
You're not wrong.
Lauren got me this as a gift, and I was like, oh, sounds great. 1,000 IBUs, definitely not.
I just got it
Be
based
awful.
on how cool the label was.
Yeah,
That's actually how
That
I
kinda
look
goes
my
for-
bad QBs is how
That-
cool they're.
label is. Maybe.
I'm brewing an IPA next Saturday. It's gonna be a blast. First all grain batch. Bought a whole bunch of new shit.
What's that mean?
Meaning
Like it's not a mix kit?
Yeah.
What?
It's not a kit. Like what we've. You like it?
I think it's solid.
Like what we used to do was all kit stuff, and it was like you poured in this like syrupy goop, basically.
I saw you guys mix it one time.
Yeah, and that skips a whole step of the brewing process. So this is just like I had to go to Listerman's, grind up some grain. I'm gonna steep the grain in some like hot water, basically,
Nice.
and that the whole part is skipped in the kit. And
Cool. So this is legit.
Beer and not drinking beer.
no, by that time I will be.
It's like in Breaking Bad when Jesse got clean. He was like still cooking meth, but
That's
he never
impressive.
smoked it, and then he did because he's an addict, and you
No,
can't
I'm
trust addicts.
I'm only doing this for another week, and then
How long have you been doing it?
Sounds like a
Today's
fucking
day
addict.
four.
It's not bad. I can't
Gator looks tan right now.
Honestly,
Do you concur?
You look fit. You look tan.
Well,
I don't know
Gator
what
looks
it
tan.
is.
So what happens when you stop drinking beer? You just look healthy.
you just get tanner.
Instantly,
You have a new glow about
you instantly
Yes,
add
you know
pigment.
it is.
It's those tannins,
Asshole.
the tannins in the beer, making me tan.
I kind of wish that you didn't like this beer, Lauren, because then I would have it to myself. Is that a Doug Martin touchdown?
Dougie Fresh in the end zone, baby.
Reach.
Oh, he's gonna be down, isn't he? Fuck my entire life.
Yep.
I think he was on the guy's hand. How does that work? It shouldn't count as down. Hand. Nope, knee.
Knee.
You're gonna need to mute that.
You're gonna need to
That sounds great, by the way.
It's great audio.
Kudos to the producer.
Yeah, you fucked up this time.
Did you tweet that link? Yeah, you
I'm the
did.
producer.
People watching. Austin, you there, my boy?
I have to pull up the
Says
chat.
two people watching.
It's probably
Tony.
Austin.
Tony and you.
Oh, yeah.
Chat is empty.
Fuck, let's go home.
Aaron is scheduling watch parties during the
Like,
podcast.
how rude.
Yeah, what a dummy.
Incredibly rude. We
It's okay.
This is a phenomenal computer setup, though.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it really is.
It's all I have to live for.
It's gorgeous.
So
But I was gonna say the only people that ask poignant chat questions to the two hosts are in the room right now,
Right.
so we really haven't lost
I thought you
anything.
were about to say something about Aaron asking poignant questions, and I was about to slap you.
Quite the opposite happened.
Slap you.
Okay.
He did ask.
Y'all ready?
Well, yeah. Yep. I'm ready, host.
That sounds like we're ready.
I guess.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 3-Step Flop. My name is Gator Strand.
I'm Brian Rankin.
Tony Hotel introduced third after the guest. which
That's
is
where he belongs.
Total bullshit.
That's where he belongs. Sorry, I just went around the table. I apologize. But speaking of the guests, we've got Brian Rankin on the show today, the Commish.
Yeah.
Welcome, Commish.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think actually, I take back what I just said. I think Brian should have been introduced first.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
As Commish.
It was
Okay,
definitely
so-
correct that I was before you,
Mm.
but we only
Only
put me
half
half as
correct.
high as I should
Yeah,
have been.
well, so we have a lot of ego at this table, mostly coming from that side.
That's
Right.
true. We do.
Yep.
But speaking of me and my ego, we can just jump right in and talk about me being absolutely terrible this week.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm always down to talk about that.
Fucking Kirk Cousins got me.
What were you thinking, Gator?
Well, I'll
You
tell you
didn't
what I was
consult
thinking.
Austin, that's for sure,
I'll tell you what I was
because
thinking.
he would have steered you in
No,
a
I
better
did. I
direction.
was with Austin when I made that pick, and he was like, "Yeah, it might be a good pick. Yeah, it might be a good pick."
Meanwhile, he's like, obviously, I'm going to say that because I'm your competitor.
Well,
Right.
the reason I picked him, it's a Monday night game in Arrowhead. You know, it's hard to play in Arrowhead, and like I've been saying all year long, I'm trying to pick a guy who's going to throw the ball. I took a risk, and it didn't pay off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not upset with my pick. It sucked. It didn't work out. But that was my reasoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't. I'm not satisfied by that reasoning.
Well,
So,
hey, I
sorry.
get to pick first this week. So
True.
he got me -6 points. Tony, read me some stats.
Well, I'm still pulling those up.
I'm not impressed.
He went 14 for 24, so 10 incompletions, 220 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the touchdowns burned you. This was one of
Mhm.
the few games that I actually got to watch since it was a Monday night game. And I think he might have had 2 different passes that were the 40-plus yard
Yep.
completion
They were
bonus, and
bombs.
one of them was a 40-plus touchdown.
They were
So
bombs.
you probably would have had just like a regular 6 points if he would have thrown those a couple yards shorter. But
It
I
didn't
know
work out.
I know what that feels like after Deshaun Watson
Right.
roasted me with a 40-yard touchdown
Right.
run.
Yeah, those big points really hurt.
How do you feel about bonuses? Are you for or against them? And do you have any biases on the subject?
I'm happy with the way the league is scored right now. I think we've got a good system going.
I would agree. I'm
I-
certainly not going to say that in front of Commish.
Well, actually, I
Terrible.
was half expecting that to be like the opening segment was the debate that happened in the group meeting
Yeah,
this past week.
we can roll into that.
If
You want
you,
to talk about it?
I'd be happy to judge if you guys want to go plaintiff defendant for each side of each argument.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Do we
yeah.
want to talk about the safety debate first, or do we want to talk about the one that Drew brought up about
Oh,
if
Austin
you
says,
win or
let's do it. Let's talk.
hi Austin?
Okay. So
Let's
wait,
go.
So the safety was first, and then what's the
Right.
other one?
The safety one was the one I brought up. Points for if your quarterback is tackled in the end zone,
Yeah.
or the other one was
If your team wins or loses.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
which one do you want to talk about?
Well,
Impress me.
If I have to, if I have to, my actual feelings is I think that quarterbacks should get points for safeties, and also I can't say that I'm like 100% on board with points for wins and losses.
Well, let's talk about safeties first.
Okay.
Let's talk about safeties
Okay.
first. Okay, so I agree. I think quarterbacks should get points for safeties, but you were saying that that's not something we can track, correct?
Right. So that was really the only con for me, because absolutely safety is one of the worst things that you can allow to happen to your team if you're an offensive player. So sure, we should punish people for it. It was just mostly my disagreement was it's yet another thing
Right.
that we're like
And we don't
manually tracking.
We don't want you to have to track any more of that stuff. So
Right.
my suggestion is, if you're watching the game, you can report a safety. We kind of go honor system, and that can be verified. I'm sure we can look up if
Yeah.
there was a safety.
It's
that
very
occurred.
similar to like the injury or the benching.
Right.
Like I don't go through and check your guys' results to see if anyone got benched unless I
Someone
saw
said,
it in the
yeah.
highlights or someone told me about it.
Right.
Okay.
So like if we did want to add it next year as something that style, I'd be fine with it. But
Okay.
like
Okay.
literally the only con is that it's just another manual point addition, which is a little bit harder. But
Now,
if
how
people are
many-
down to do it,
Yeah.
How many points do we think a safety is worth? I think at least 4.
that was where my head went, was 4.
So it's probably going to be a sack, also,
Mhm.
right? So,
So 2.
you're already getting 2 points.
But it's not a fumble, and it's not
think
a fumble
3.
lost.
I think it should be 3,
But how many points do you get for a sack fumble lost?
6.
And don't you think a safety is worse than a sack fumble loss?
It's points for the other team, and the other team gets the ball.
Yeah, but
Which is why I would
But
argue
I think-
6 tops
I
for
think
a
the
safety.
argument would be the safety is more of a, well, maybe not than a fumble, but like an interception that is fully on the quarterback, right? And a safety necessary. I mean,
Get rid of the ball.
It's dicey. I think that's why we have sacks
fair argument.
as only 2 points.
Yeah.
Was a similar thought process of
Yeah.
your O-line it's their job to protect you, and then also it's a little bit your fault because dump it in the
Right.
stands if you
Right.
have to.
Right.
So
So-
if we make the safety 4 points and the sack
So that's
on
a
top of
total
that,
of 6.
yeah,
That's
Okay. Yeah.
I think that would be fair math, because then it's like, okay, this is just as bad as a QB
That
throwing
makes
into
sense.
double coverage and getting picked.
I could get on board with that. Austin says 3 points. He would like 3 points for a safety plus whatever we get for a sack, and a safety has a lot to do with protection. And he says no for the Drew rule. That's what he said.
okay. Well, let's jump on the
That'll be a quick negotiation, I think.
Okay. So the Drew.
No.
The,
I rule against.
so Drew wanted to give plus points for a loss and minus
yes,
points for a win.
and Drew is suggesting 5 points for a.
I think 5 is too many, but
way
I,
too many.
I could see two being fine.
I could see 2 max.
2 max.
Yeah.
You are adamant about this not
Well,
being a rule.
I could no. I'm okay with 1 or 2 points because the only thing that I didn't like with the 5 points was if your quarterback gets pulled because they're doing terribly, that's 10 points right there, and that's a huge help. And they're probably already doing terrible, so
Yeah.
they've probably already racked up a bunch of points, and then they're probably going to lose the game too. So it's almost a guaranteed 15 points on top of an already bad round. So we're going to have these weeks of people getting negatives and then some people getting 60 points.
Maybe,
you know what I
but
mean?
I also think that it's pretty rare to get a bench in the middle of the game. Like we've had some this year, but that is not something that happens very often where a guy
know.
just gets
Once
legit benched.
No, but then it's then it's 5 points.
Well, yeah, and
It's
because
actually
your guy's
5
bad
points.
quarterback and he did really shitty.
Well, I think that's what the 10 points is already covering.
Yeah, it's already a pretty
Plus
big
2.
bonus.
+2, you lost.
So
Maybe. What about this? What if you get -2 for a win, but you get nothing for a loss?
I mean, is that really anything to write home about?
Yes,
Like to debate about
because
2
it
points
at least,
up or down?
It at least. I mean, it's just 2 points. You're right. It's not that
Well,
much. But it would. I think that. I think wins and losses are important. Like
I would rather see it on both sides. If we are doing a win and loss, gain 2, lose 2.
All right, 5 each then.
Not 5. I'm okay with 2.
Okay.
I would rather see 1, but I'm okay with 2.
I would say that if we propose that rule, it would probably not pass. But it's something that we can definitely propose.
I would be
Commissioner
I'd be a
seems-
hard no
he
vote.
says
I'm not the
no.
only vote, obviously, but to return to the manual point addition, I'm doing 12
Right.
manual point additions guaranteed or
that's a good point.
subtractions
That's a good point.
every single time if we go win or loss.
Well, you can do that automatically, right? Can you not?
A win?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I might be
Okay.
wrong. Can
Well,
always
you
look.
would know better than I do.
But yeah,
Austin
that was.
says, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that was the first thing. Just like manually have to go back and do all that, and I would say the quarterback probably has the biggest impact if you have to pick
Yeah.
a single player. They literally touch the ball every time they're on offense.
Yeah.
But
Not everything.
football is a two-way sport where like literally he's not even on the field for half of it. You know, Tom Brady is a perfect example right now. The Pats are 2-2 and Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the league.
True.
So like if that was a true representation of him being good or bad, outliers like that where he just has a super
Right.
porous defense right now,
Yeah.
he would be getting bad
I-
QB points, and
I
he's
definitely see that
not a bad
argument.
quarterback.
And I think that that's ultimately what is the final argument is that, and as
They don't have a
Austin
big enough
says,
effect.
wins and losses are about the team in all caps, not the QB. And Aaron says,
Austin's shirt is off at home right now. He's fucking fired up.
Aaron says safety should not be a part of this league. That's what Aaron says. Lots of good justification for that as well.
Yeah.
And he also commented that on Austin's account, which that could just be
Aaron, I don't know why. I need some sort of argument here, Aaron. I don't know why you would suggest safety not being a good measure of a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
We'll let him answer.
Explain
but
yourself.
We'll
Aaron.
get
But
a written
while-
dissertation.
One more rule suggestion that hasn't been talked about yet, but that I was thinking about. I really like the way we've changed the injury rule. I think that works out well.
Yeah.
And I would even consider applying that to the benching rule. If your quarterback gets
Yeah.
benched in the first, he gets 10.
I think, well, I don't know, because they're probably not going to be benched in the first half.
Right, but the reason they would get you get a bunch of points for benching in the first half is to kind of negate that the fact that you're not going to get any more points the rest of the game. You know what I mean?
I see. I still think 10 points is cool, though, because it's just like
I like it as just
a little extra
a
bonus.
flat bonus for being
Okay.
real bad.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
I think we've
Didn't mean to derail
No,
us,
no,
but
no.
I'm down.
That's how
I'm
this
down for the
podcast
weekly
works.
recap.
as soon as something comes up, we start talking about it. So
I'm getting to the nicknames right now from last week, so we can chime in with those.
I said Kirk married his cousins. That's what I said. I was pretty happy with that.
5 out of 10.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
There's nothing wrong with being average, Gator.
You know
That's
what?
right.
That's
I've been it my whole life.
Okay, moving on to a new team name, the Locust Whores.
I highly approve of.
10 out of 10.
Even when Marianne is finally sucking at something, she just dominates us at something else, which is
It's-
the new team name.
It's quite demoralizing. and entertaining
conversation
at the same time.
In the group me was hilarious when Marianne posted that. I was like, what is she talking about?
Mhm.
What does she mean? And then I realized what she thought I said. And just the thought of me calling someone a locust whore is something Aaron would say.
Yes.
And I wish I had that kind of vocabulary, and I
yeah,
don't.
but Aaron's brain just works without any linearity. It just jumps on.
There's no guardrails on his
yeah,
shit.
It's very
It just goes everywhere.
scatterplot-esque.
But anyway, she got negative 2.76 points. And who did she go with?
Eli.
She went with Eli Dumbface Manning,
Mm.
and then in parentheses said, so weak I need a drink, which she did
Yeah.
over the past week divulge some secrets that it's a little
Right.
bit of alcohol that
The
has made her
alcohol
pick so
being-
good.
Yeah, I need to get on that.
main, propeller of her success.
Yeah, she's got to start drinking earlier on a Saturday.
Yeah, man. What? Maybe you got a problem, Marianne. I don't
She's
drink until
tailgating
at
every
least 3
Saturday.
PM most
Go
days.
go UK.
I am happy that we don't have to necessarily shit on her as much now that she had a bad week.
Right.
Feels
'Cause-
good.
Yeah, because now you're just now you're in the shit. Now you know how it is for the rest of us.
No, you know what it's like
Yeah.
in this league.
And I was telling her, I think she's never had to pick anything above 8 this whole
She
league.
picked last for Eli.
Right. And,
Plus 1 draft point, Austin. She moved up 1 spot.
well, I think there's pressure being at the top, having all those options to pick from.
Right.
It's like when you're in the middle or you're late, you're more comfortable with your pick because you're like, well,
Gator's saying it's harder when you're at the front of the draft.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm just putting your argument out there.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, how do you do? How do Eli do?
He went 19 incompletions, 288 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, a 40-yard completion, and a rushing touchdown.
Ooh.
Man,
So the
how did-
rushing touchdown, the 40-yard bonus, and 2 touchdowns. Obvious upgrade having a healthy ODB.
Oh yeah.
So
And
Eli was trash those first 2 weeks. They had like a quarter of a game from him and from Odell Beckham in the 3rd week, and then he was full go in the 4th, and the offense finally picked up.
he's really good.
He's
He
really
is
good
a
at
very
footballs.
player. And now Eli's got back-to-back negative weeks, going into a game with the Rams, who give up a lot of points.
They were playing the Chargers.
Yeah,
You're wrong for
come on,
that.
Tony.
Going into a game with the Chargers, who are a really shitty team.
Yep. They also give
Uh,
up a lot of points, which is handy,
So I'm still right. All those LA teams are the same to me,
basically.
and the Las Vegas team too.
So we're saying avoid Eli, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's the
I thought-
consensus.
I thought we were going to get bad Eli back if you saw the photo of ODB's finger getting dislocated.
I did.
Oh, I
Did you
didn't
see that shit?
Oh, it's
No.
disgusting.
Like right at that first knuckle was bent completely back on a football.
During the game.
Yeah, like caught a pass and just caught the top half of his finger and brought it straight back. So
Oh,
dislocated. I don't know. I don't think he's sat out of the game or anything
I don't
like
know,
that, but he's
but I saw the picture.
he's active again. But as soon as that happened, I was like,
this-
Eli's back on the list if Odell doesn't play.
This sport is really stupid. Aaron thinks we're getting too cute with the rules. O-line may be a factor, or bad coaching, etc. Aaron also thinks counting wins or losses in this league is the worst idea proposed in league history. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
Worst idea proposed in
Okay.
league history.
Not one to get too high or too low.
I
Aaron
f-
Carnevale.
I
Yeah.
feel like we're Leslie Knope at a public town hall, and we're listening to the plebes.
The plebes. All right.
Next up, we've got Peyton's Neck with 1.9 points. Who did Alex go with?
Let's get that nickname up.
Bring it up.
Alex with the 8th pick. No,
10th.
9th. Yeah,
10th.
9th. Jared,
Oh, okay.
squishy faced golf.
Squishy face.
Drink for squishy.
Squishy drink.
Drink. Oh my God, that's such a great drinking game.
So Goff, let's see what he did last week. He went against Dallas on the road, but Dallas's secondary has been pretty suspect, so that trend kind of continued, it looks like. 15 incompletions, 255 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, a sack, a 40-yard completion, 40-yard touchdown, 1 rushing attempt, and a fumble that they recovered.
Lots of 2 passing touchdowns down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
40-yard completions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that too this week.
I think Goff has leveled up, in my opinion,
He's
over
leveled up.
over the
Yeah.
freshman year.
Uh-huh.
He's like a legitimate fantasy quarterback on my regular teams. Granted, it's a Indians score 4-0.
Oh, damn.
Granted, that is a 2-quarterback league, so I was kind of forced into picking him. But it's because my other quarterback was Andy Dalton, who's been pretty bad at football. So now Jared Goff is my
Accurate.
best quarterback on a real fantasy
yeah,
team.
yeah. I mean,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised because, again, Hard Knocks did not.
Right,
bode
he
well
seemed
for
like a
him.
dumb human.
Seemed like an idiot. I think that most of the time at quarterback you want someone who's smart, and the guys who are dumb tend to not really work out that well.
Yeah.
But
Well.
maybe he's matured a lot.
he's looking pretty good so far. I'm gonna avoid him for now. We'll see.
Maybe it's playing in front of 5,000 people every week.
Yeah, there's not a
Right.
lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's probably it.
And I don't know how much he's really been tested defensively. I mean, Indianapolis, he went negative that game.
And
They're not doing very good. They don't have any offense. Washington was the only legit defense, and he put up 11.5 points, which is respectable for our league.
Mm-hmm.
Went to San Francisco, blew up for negative 13, and then he scored 2 last week against Dallas.
Yeah,
So-
those are not strong defenses.
Yeah, so if you kind of follow the defense, that makes sense. He's at home next week, but versus Seattle, I'd say he's at least a reasonable like mid-round pick against them. I don't think he's off limits for
Yeah.
the rest of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just not an auto start like he was last year, where
Mhm.
just no matter who he played, you could plug him in and get double-digit points.
Yeah, I definitely think there'll be some games going forward where he's not, or some weeks going forward where he's not selected.
Yeah.
But it'll just be he's more of a matchup play, I think.
We're seeing a lot of that with Aaron last week talking about how defense are important, which
Yep.
is it's almost really obvious, but sometimes we just get sucked up into who the bad quarterback is, that we kind of ignore the defense.
We have a tendency to do that.
Don't let the brand name fool you.
Yeah,
Right.
we have a tendency to not know what defenses are good and which ones are bad.
Yeah.
That too.
Well, it's hard to tell sometimes.
It's hard to watch all these football games.
Yeah. I don't have red zone anymore.
It's baseball playoffs.
Not
which
the
we all
man I
know
used to
is
be.
Much better than the NFL.
I heard the perfect analogy for baseball, and this really resonated with me. So now that the Indians are good, I really like following them, but just through like social media. So like I know who our guys are. I know if we're winning or losing. I get to read about them, but like I don't have time to watch a baseball game because I have a life and a job. And someone said that basically Major League Baseball is just like walking yourself through the Mojave Desert. Just endless. There's nothing around. There's no excitement. And then at the very end of the Mojave Desert in October is a fucking theme park. And if you just tune in for the playoffs, it's so fun to like watch the Indians make that run last year.
Yeah.
I watched every single game. And I could not get myself to turn on a regular season game all year this year.
That's totally fair. I could see the casual fan being that way.
Right.
Totally understand.
Because I don't have
that.
any appreciation for the game itself. I just like the Indians.
And when you can tell when you watch a playoff baseball game, everything is different. The game is played different. I mean, literally, it's a different game. If you watch those wild card games the last 2 days, the way that pitchers are used is different. The way that managers manage the game is different.
Right.
So yeah,
You're just trying to win best of for this
Exactly.
week instead of stay alive for 160 games, whatever
that's
they play.
not the worst analogy I've ever heard. I
Yeah.
like that.
I said it was the
Back
best
to
for
We
football
should make
here.
this a baseball.
Back to football.
Well, think of our viewers.
Austin literally said, not a baseball podcast.
Moving on. Speaking of the person who you might have heard in the room, Stafford infection, also a great team name change.
Great name.
Man, she's a smart
Also-
cookie.
I like it.
Also, it's also related to your job,
Yep,
which I think is great.
It's great all around.
Yes.
it's perfect. So Lauren had 7.14 points.
She went with the 11th pick last week. She went for Derelict My Balls card.
Great nickname.
So two great names in the same week, and again something that relates to her job. So that was perfect to kind of go along with that theme.
Just because it's a part of the human body, does that mean it relates to her job?
Yeah.
Just any part of the body?
For sure. I'm sure.
It's like 90% balls.
I'm sure. Like 1 out of every 2 senior citizen men ask for something to be licked.
Yeah.
When a cute young nurse comes in.
I mean,
Alright.
if you're in the fucking ICU and you're 90, like just take a shot.
Yeah, it's like
Hey,
go down swinging, baby.
Hey, show me your tits.
Shot, fam.
That's all
Have you
you
seen
can
that video, by the way? The show me your tits video of the dude.
do. When he's like passed out. Lauren was
That's
watching
great.
it yesterday.
He's
but I
from
didn't
here.
see
He's
it.
from Oak Hills.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said, can you transfer me, or am I going to get transferred to UC?
Right.
There you go.
As if that's a punishment.
So how did Derelict My Balls do?
So until he went out, Derelict My Balls
Oh, yeah, he
was
got injured.
going to be kind of a bust for Lauren. So he only racked up 8 incompletions, 143 yards, a touchdown, 2 sacks. He also burned her with the 40-yard touchdown.
Man, so many
a lot of
40
bonuses
yards.
this
So he only scored 1.14 standard points, and then he got 6 extra points
Injury.
for getting hurt in the second.
Well, everyone down here at the bottom is getting all these 40-yard points, but once we get past us 4 down here, it was a huge week for everybody.
Yeah.
It was a massive week, double-digit numbers in the 20s and 30s. We go from last week where everyone's got negative points to this week when everyone needed it.
It all averages out in the end. Law of averages.
except for
is
me.
what they call that.
Down here at the freaking
who
bottom.
is the replacement? It's EJ Manuel, right?
We'll be talking about that later.
Okay. All right. Let's not jump the gun on
Okay.
one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time.
All right. Well, with that, we'll move on to ASAP Korg, who got herself 21.2 points.
Squirtle.
Who'd she had? Squirtles?
Like
Sixth pick last week, Blake Snortles.
After just a stellar day against Baltimore in London, he drops all the way to 6 and then just puts up
Right.
major points.
Bortles
Yeah.
is this roller coaster ride of emotions. You don't know when to pick him. You don't know when you shouldn't.
Right.
He's gonna burn.
Especially
ya.
against such an awful defense of the Jets. He was on the road, but Baltimore, and I still think Baltimore is one of the best defenses in the league. I think London was an anomaly. You never know how people are gonna deal with traveling like that. But yeah, it was just fucking bullshit to think that I had just a locked up huge week to get roasted, and then he plays one of the worst teams in the league.
It was unfortunate.
And you know what? With that being said, I'm gonna make the first ever live podcast pick with me with the first round pick.
Wow.
I'm taking Blake Bortles
Against
Bortles
against the Steelers.
That is a good pick.
Against Pitt. In Pittsburgh.
If the Jets can rack up 21 points on Bortles, I hope to God the Steelers can.
Yeah.
Well, now there's even
They're gonna get
more
fucking-
incentive for Bortles to go out and throw 6 touchdowns.
Right.
He probably will.
This.
He
You
probably
shouldn't,
will.
You shouldn't release this. This will get to him by then.
Yeah, he'll
This is
find
just
out.
Listen,
locker room
Bortles.
material now.
Fuck
This
you.
is all just locker room
I know
talk.
he listens.
Yeah,
he's
look
our
at that
he's our
camera.
number one fan.
Fuck you, Bortles.
But Bortles put up 21.2 points, 20 incompletions, 140 yards, a touchdown, a pick. What do we got here? A sack. He is a sack.
He's 1 sack. Man, 15 for 35 is real bad.
Yeah.
Real bad.
That's
and they just let him throw. They just let him keep throwing.
Yeah.
He's got 30 attempts each of the last 3 weeks. It's a good sign.
It's a good time to pick him up.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick, Gator, especially because they managed to lose to the Jets on the road. Pittsburgh's going to just absolutely boat race them with a real offense, and he's going to have to throw a bunch.
Who would have thought the Jets would have 2 wins?
They, according to record, are just as good as the Patriots right now.
We're talking about even teams.
That's right.
Unreal.
Super
Literally
Bowl.
a coin flip in terms of skill.
They're in the division hunt.
Okay. All right. Next we've got Tom with Gimme Yo Lunch Monies.
Mm-hmm.
He barely outbeat Taylor with 21.86 points.
With Carson Palmer.
Carson's a great pick.
Who
Man.
tossed 51 passes.
Oh my gosh, did he really?
He has now, his lowest attempts has been 36. So he's gone 48, 36, 48, 51.
Let's see who they have
He's
this
going to
week.
throw like 1,000 passes this year.
And
They've got the Eagles.
that's really saved him every week because in a league where incompletions don't hurt you, like Carson's a fine streaming fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, he throws 300 yards every
Yeah, I was
damn
going to say
week.
he threw over 350 for Tom, and Tom still scored almost 22 points. And it's because those pretty much one for one came off his incompletions.
That's what you have to rely on with Carson is
He's a volume
you
player.
know he's going to throw a touchdown. Probably 1, maybe 2. But with 30 incompletions,
And it's also Carson Palmer, so he's definitely going to throw an interception. A really
You're right.
stupid-ass, fucking terrible interception.
right. Carson's a great pick.
That's what he does, all right?
Not a sore spot at
I
all.
watched him do it a lot.
He's got the Eagles next week on the road. I think he'll be picked
I
again
think he's another good pick right there.
somewhere, I don't know, 5 spot. Somewhere around there.
What's the Eagles' defense like? Guy who watches football.
Well, according to our little cheat sheet here, it says they've given up the 13th most points
So they're
to quarterbacks.
middle of the road-ish.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be better, honestly, but they've had tough competition as far as QBs go.
Yeah.
So if you look at the history for this season, they've played Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith, Eli Manning, Phil Rivers. So like all guys that can kind of
Competent
hold their
guys.
own even against a good defense. So
I really like Carson Wentz. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback.
yeah, he's putting it together. He doesn't really have anybody to throw to right now.
Yeah.
He pretty much just has to throw to Zach Ertz all
Yeah.
day long,
Yeah.
and he like doesn't have any other reliable receivers.
Which
but
is so weird
he's
considering
legit.
how stacked the Eagles like receiving options used to be. Like back when I watched football like 5 years ago
yeah,
when they had like fucking what's his name? See, I don't even know. Fuck
well
it,
they had
dude.
T.O.
What am
for
I
a hot
even trying
second
to
It's
do?
right
baseball
before he went out the door.
What's his name? Jackson? Is that his name?
Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson, yeah. And they had other guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That
I
other
remember
dude.
that.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that Tony's on the right track here.
That other dude is real good.
Fuck, dude. I'm out of the loop.
Well,
it's
speaking
baseball
of-
season.
Speaking of Tony, you're next up.
Yay.
XXX Intercepcion with
Hell yeah, dude.
25.64 points.
Mike Glennon, want to give a shout out to Commissioner for putting my player in,
Yeah,
which I will say
I siphoned off 5 or 6 year points to my team for that extra effort.
that's fair. I would say that it was somewhat legitimate because with a Thursday game, I am waiting to see if there's a late
Right, I have
Somebody
no
could-
problem just to put it out
Okay.
there. In
Well, I just want to say that to the
yeah.
rest of the league. I'm not don't shit on me. Okay?
Yeah, I'll never put in a Sunday quarterback for someone unless you like call me and you
You're
have
in
a
the
family
hospital.
emergency.
Yeah.
Basically,
Okay.
it's high stakes.
Right.
But Thursday QBs, I like to leave it all the way up until the kickoff. So if you're not sitting there waiting at 8:30 or whatever and add them, I'll just go in on the back and do that. It's not a
I
problem.
appreciate that because for the record, the reason why I wasn't able to do it is because I was going and getting my new mattress, which is
Basically the same as a family emergency.
literally the best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
What'd you go with?
Well, it's so my cousin. They've had this Tempur-Pedic mattress for 2 years, but it hurts her husband's back, so they just gave it to
Pussy.
me. And it's a king size Tempur-Pedic mattress, and it is
Damn.
fucking
This
glorious, dude.
This
I've-
isn't a mattress podcast, Tony.
Well, I'm just this is a real reason why I missed my pick, so it's related to this podcast.
Fair enough.
And people like this, okay?
This
People
is-
like when I go
They
on
wanna get to
tangents
know you.
because
This
I don't
is
know shit
when-
about football.
This is when it's going to get back to Tony auto drafting his picks and like not being there for any bet nominations because he's just asleep until
Right.
2 p.m.
Right.
every Sunday morning.
I've taken a lot of naps in the last week. I've been very well rested.
Good.
So that's going to
Good.
only help me in this league.
Right.
Good.
Aaron says it hurt Aaron's back moving it. No, well, okay. Aaron helped me move it, and it hurt his back moving it to your house. Aaron, you should have seen me and Mac try to get that thing up the stairs because it was interesting. There's also a giant chunk out of my drywall from that
That'll happen.
experience. Well, okay, telling the story. We couldn't
Telling the
fit.
story.
We couldn't fit.
Story's
the-
coming in hot.
we tried to get the mattress up the stairs just by straight up pushing it, and there's like a I don't know what you call it. The ceiling on the stairs has like on my stairs like it's pretty low, so you can't really just like it kind of the mattress would kind of get stuck, and it's very thick and spongy, so like it doesn't really fold very well. Like there's a lot of resistance when you fold it. So we tried for like a half an hour to get it up the stairs without just by pushing it. We're like, this isn't gonna work. So we pushed it back down the stairs, and I got ratchet straps, and we ratchet strapped it
To
to
fold
like a
it.
hot dog size.
Yeah.
And apparently I left like one of the straps on the side, and it like took a big chunk out of the wall when I was moving up.
That
But
would do it.
and Matt noticed it when we were going up the stairs, and I was just like, Matt, I don't care. We're getting this fucking thing up the stairs. We were dripping sweat.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it was brutal, but
Just ramming.
it was all worth it.
Feels
So,
all very
Glennon.
Oh,
Glennon
yeah,
in
this
his
is a
swan
football
song.
podcast.
Glennon is going to be he's been a great pick.
Well, I wouldn't pick him going forward because he's no longer the starter.
That's
Oh,
what,
that's a great-
that's what
that's good-
swan
that's a
song
good
means,
point.
guys.
Now that makes
Remember.
sense.
When I
That makes sense. Like Black Swan. A swan's a
Yes,
fancy
let's-
goose.
Let's all say R.I.P. to Mike Glennon's season. It was a good
and
run.
career, hopefully.
He
Jesus
put-
Christ.
He put up double-digit points in all 4 games that he started. 2 of those were 25-point games.
Right. You don't find consistently like that
I
just
mean-
walking down the street.
Nope.
You really don't.
I mean, I guess.
I'll miss his
You
long
do.
ass
You
neck.
But yeah, 12 incompletions, just over 200 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, a sack, 2 fumbles, lost both of them.
For the shitty-
Oh, this was the Thursday game when the
Yes.
weather was bananas out
yeah,
there.
there
They
was
had the
there
big
was a
weather
Big
delay.
delay, yeah.
So yeah, they had crappy conditions on top of a really bad long-necked quarterback. So
But
that was
I
a
will
good
not-
formula.
I will not give him any more credit because of the weather. He was just bad.
Yeah.
And the weather, if it was 75 and sunny, he would have been just as bad.
Who's his replacement going to be?
Mitch Trubisky.
Okay. And who is this guy?
He's a rook.
He's a rookie.
Ah,
Just
okay.
came out of somewhere that Austin
Austin,
knows.
help us out. Where'd Trubisky go? He's not Austin's boy, so he didn't go to Michigan State.
Yeah.
Right.
Not his boy. All right. That'll be fun. And mid-season rookie starting his first game.
I mean,
That's always a good
you
sign.
pulled the string on Blake Bortles too early, my friend.
Maybe. Against
You wanna-
the Vikings
He's getting
too.
his first start on Monday night at
At
the
Soldier
home game.
Field.
But still, I mean,
Against
you're
the
the
Vikings.
Bears. None of your games are home games. Your team is shit.
You know,
Right.
I don't like those Monday night picks anymore either. Thursday nights, Monday nights,
Dude,
They're all
rookie on Monday night.
It's gonna choke.
Give me.
that's fine. Take him.
Give
I
me.
don't want him. I don't want him. He could be amazing.
I'm not. What was the? I don't even know what I'm picking. I don't think anybody posted the draft order.
You are picking.
Don't
Don't
have to
point at
pick it
me.
until
Don't point at
have
me.
to put it up till. Oh God, yeah. I guess we should have done that
1, 2,
by
3.
for
Well,
Thursday.
nobody was gonna
I kind of
pick.
knew that no one was picking Thursday. I didn't even
Yeah.
post them till like 6 p.m.
You're
Yeah,
picking
they-
7th, Tony.
Okay, he's gonna be gone then. He went to UNC.
He
Austin
gone.
says.
There we go.
Ah, okay.
He also says, look at those muscles. Austin's admiring your muscles.
I knew that was
I'll,
going to happen.
I'll read out the order
really
real quick here.
Thought about changing my shirt before I came because I knew I was going to start to get nervous and sweat. And here we are.
The order.
I'm more nervous than you sitting next to those muscles. Let me say that. Never know what could happen.
Speaking
next
of
week
like
is
Glenn on bottom.
Gator, Marianne, Alex, Lauren, Taylor, Tom, Tony, John, Brian, Austin, Aaron, and Drew. In case.
Hail Mary. That was a nice little Hail Mary there.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that?
A good 1 point for Jameis Winston.
Next up, we've got T-Bone Your Girl.
Oh, defensive penalty. All right, sorry. Go on.
T-Bone Your Girl with 26.52 points.
First round pick. Josh, no nickname McCown. I should really go in here and subtract 5 points
You
right
should.
fucking now, John.
Yep.
I bet that would be a point that Aaron would be interested
Yes.
in. Aaron would love that
Aaron
rule.
was the
Right.
first person to write nickname in all caps after that. A stickler.
Yeah. John's pretty no nonsense usually. So you can't.
Yeah.
You
Is that
got to
what
be
they call it?
nonsense in this league.
I mean, when you're picking McCown, the possibilities are endless.
They really are.
The surprising thing here is that McCown has one of the best completion percentages in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
I don't have the numbers in front of me,
Just by
but
looking at his 4 games, you can tell that he's
yeah, I
high.
heard it from a real podcast earlier that was the
That's
case, so I
crazy.
believe it.
a real podcast.
Wow,
What
what's
you
he
trying to say,
saying?
dude?
But like if you like look at his stat line, 9 incompletions, 224 yards, that's not a whole lot in terms of like the standard way people pick up points for us.
Yeah.
And then he threw a pick and got sacked 5 fucking times.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
I was going to say where all
three
those points
three
come from.
fumbles and he lost one of them. So just
Jesus.
getting hit behind the line and not taking care
That's
of
an
the ball
interesting
that
way to get points. You
Yeah.
don't you don't
And
see
it's
him
not
coming.
reliable. Like it doesn't
No,
give you a
right.
good baseline because I bet you if we look back, yeah, McCown has had some duds. So 17-9, which is fine, and then he scored 0 last week against Miami. Back up to 27 against Jacksonville.
Do you think if you put Josh McCown behind a top 5 offense that they would make the playoffs?
They might.
I think so.
I mean, it depends what their defense
I
looks
don't
like
know.
too.
I
Obviously,
think McCown is trash.
But
I think
but
he's
look
not.
at all
At
the
the-
teams
I
he's
think
played
he has
for,
a
dude.
At the end of the
cannon.
day,
and he will give his life and soul for
He will.
whoever
He
is
will.
paying him.
I don't doubt that. He's tough.
I think that he's like, he just literally always plays on shit teams and just gets no protection and just has to like do everything himself. But
Right.
if he like was able to sit back in the pocket and had like an offensive line that was really great and a couple good receivers, like he might actually do pretty well. He would not be a pick in this league.
Maybe, but I don't think we're ever going to see that
Yeah,
opportunity.
that day probably won't
Well,
come.
it's like 40, so yeah, it's probably not gonna happen.
Oh, man. All right. Next up, we've got Commish. Kai's on the prize. 29.86 points. Who'd you pick? You can't even
This was an auto draft because
Jakey
I was
Brissett.
flying around on
You're
Saturday.
right. It was
So I lucked out with the auto draft.
100%, yeah.
But
Yeah.
definitely got lucky for this being a situation where Yahoo actually projected points
Correctly,
well. Like in
yeah.
terms of matchup, usually their math doesn't really
Yeah.
jive with the way our league works. But Jacoby Brissett on the road against Seattle, I would have taken that in
Yeah,
the top
that's-
half of
yeah,
the draft
That's
anyway.
not a
Yeah.
bad
So
pick there at all.
I was
Next
cool with
week,
that.
though, at home against Hoyer and the 49ers.
Right.
You going to touch that?
That's a game I'm definitely not touching with my eyes.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that
Gonna
shit,
be
dude.
bad.
Kidding me?
With my eyes.
It's gonna be gross.
It's horrible. That's horrible football.
But yeah, he hooked me up right after roasting the Browns, so he kind of made it up to me for
Personally.
beating us last week. So
That's
I
nice of
appreciate
him.
that. 13 incompletions, 150 plus yards, a touchdown, a pick six, 3 sacks,
Pick
and
six.
2 fumbles. One of them lost.
I've yet to have that golden goose yet this year. And
Of a pick six.
Of a
I
pick
tell you
six.
what, man, it feels good.
Feels good.
Especially when it happens on the first play of the game, which did happen to be this year.
My God.
Just open the season. That was how the first. If I want to take you back to memory lane, that was how the first season of bad QB
It was McCown. It was my
started.
pick.
The very first game of this season, Josh McCown threw a pick six in like his first pass, maybe.
Yeah.
and
It was amazing.
It was like lightning touched the tip of my penis. It was incredible.
That is why a McCown jersey should be the trophy.
Yeah, it absolutely should.
I think so.
As much as I want a Josh Freeman jersey to be the trophy.
If we win any money with this betting, which we're doing, we should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't really talked much about that.
We're even on betting, I think, right? We're
We're even in terms of our record.
But
We're
we've-
down in terms of dollars
Not
because the
much, though.
payout, yeah, like a couple bucks.
right.
Lauren is off screen showing me the Josh McCown helicopter death against the Jets. And I feel like the Titanic music should play.
Dude. God, that's so violent.
man.
In full
Really
speed,
brutal.
because I always see it in slow mo.
Right.
It looks way worse in full speed.
I wonder if you could make a video introduction for this podcast
that's
with this thing on,
really good
with that on it.
I'm definitely doing that.
Good.
That's a great idea.
Good. So if
Can you grab me
with
one
that,
too?
with that
It's,
brand new segment
Sam Adams.
introducing this break brought to you is called Beer Run. All right.
Yeah, beer run segment.
Tony, if you can't name 5 Browns quarterbacks by the time Brian gets back, you have to
Okay.
take off that hat and put
Deshaun
on mine.
Kaiser, Tim Couch, Jason Campbell, Johnny Manziel, Josh McCown.
Damn it. Success. The
You could have just named
5.
anything together, but I'm like, you're right.
5.
You're right.
Five
right,
Browns.
Lauren. You're right,
Five
Lauren.
Browns QBs. Yeah.
I'm
Thank you.
actually currently watching an R.I.P. Josh McCown video, and it's just all the highlights of Josh McCown getting fucking owned.
R.I.P. Josh McCown.
All right. Well, that was a great new segment.
I like that.
Man.
We're going to be
very
making
quick.
history tonight. Well, I started to run, and then I was like, oh, that's cheating. The game should be like a standard beer run, and you were done immediately.
Yeah.
When you can name Browns when you have to name Browns quarterbacks, it's
I
pretty
I
easy.
couldn't.
50 to choose from.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of them.
I thought that was Browns quarterback was a good first one to go with. But
What would be better would be like a team that's not in the Bengals division, because I've been watching the Browns, the Bengals play the Browns for so many years.
I had to pick. I wanted to make it achievable but difficult. So maybe if I would have said 7,
I think you just have really low expectations for me.
yeah, I don't know a lot about football, so I shouldn't be coming up with these questions.
I agree.
But the segment is there. It's implemented.
Segment's great.
It's
I like
approved.
I need a graphic for it. I'll get a
It would
graphic
take too
for it
long to
next
pull up
time.
the graphic.
Right.
That's part of the game. You have to pull up the graphic before you start naming anything.
Lord. To bring the attention back to me as quickly as possible, can we talk about how bullshit it is that I scored 30 points and was momentarily taken from 11th to 12th?
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
I scored 30 fucking points
I see.
and I moved into 12th. What wasn't I clear about? And the other reason I'm not in 12th right now is because in the Monday night game, Gator got negative 6.5
Yeah.
and passed me in reverse.
Yeah. I could have.
and moved me back to where I started in fucking
That's-
11th.
That's really funny. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Laugh it up, guys.
Well, it's because you've had some rough weeks, man. You've had some rough weeks, and then everyone does fantastic this week.
Everybody who was near me just blew it up.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
The good part though is that
Fruity.
it seems like there's a lot of closeness way down at
Right.
the bottom, which is also
There is.
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty close.
Last
all over
last
the
up
place.
to 6th. The entire bottom half is separated by about 10, 15 points. And the next
Yeah.
2-3 spots are only 10 more.
That's the great part about this league
It's a 2-person race right now.
It was a good morale boosting week for a lot of people.
for most people. Next up,
Except Gator.
we've got Austin with the dirty butt fumbles. I hope you're listening, Austin. 31.3 points with Flacco. That was a great
Joe,
pick.
I look like an inbred Blacko.
Yeah. I was there when he was trying to think of the nickname. Came up with a pretty good one.
Joe Flacco has looked so shitty this year, dude.
So
Yeah,
bad.
he really is.
Wow, he's elite.
Another one of those guys that was on the random stat sheets that my fantasy Twitter follows always tweet out, and it's just like, oh, bottom 5 completion percentages.
Flacco.
Everyone in the AFC North.
yeah, that's true. AFC North QB play has been.
And there's your preview for Bortles next week too. Flacco
Right.
played at home against Pittsburgh and put up 30
Right.
points.
And
So
you know what?
I have some confidence in Bortles on
You
the
know,
road.
but the numbers on paper, Bortles is a good pick, right? But something about this league just ignores all those stats, ignores the paper, and I know even though I picked him, I guarantee you he has a fantastic week against the Steelers.
I think you'll be safe.
I hope so, but we'll see.
The Baltimore game was a mirage
Yeah.
that
Well-
I was punished by.
Pay no attention to the Baltimore game.
So are the Ravens good? Are they bad? I mean,
I think the Ravens are good. I think at the end of the season we'll look back and decide that the Ravens defense is good.
Yeah.
Their offense is not good.
They don't have a lot of weapons on offense at all.
Well, I mean, the past 2 weeks they haven't shown that their defense is good either. The against
True.
the
They've given up a lot of points.
Jaguars and the Steelers.
They got Oakland, then Oakland, Chicago, Minnesota, Miami, Tennessee. I mean, Oakland, Chicago, Minnesota, Miami. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of football. They seem like winnable games to me. Minnesota maybe as probably the toughest out of those. I don't know about Oakland though. Are they good
Well, now Derek Carr's gone.
On offense?
Oh, they're yeah. Just
I mean, their run game has been questionable. Derek Carr going down to put in their backup is not going to help them. And their 2 stud receivers, Mari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, were supposed to be like studs or pretty typical, like a really good 1-2 punch, and they just haven't put it together yet. So by the end of the year, when Carr comes back, I feel like they'll probably figure it out and kind of get back on track. But they like haven't looked awesome so far.
That's interesting. I was big on Oakland before the season started. I thought, because I think Derek Carr is going to be a really good quarterback. Like I think his career is going to be very long and fruitful. Yeah. And I also just love Marshawn Lynch. And so I was kind of like
that was the big bust. People were hoping Marshawn would just like go back to his old days, and he
just
wasn't quite as reliable.
Mode.
Yeah,
18 carries, 120 yards. Let's go. Austin says Ravens suck.
Okay.
He also says the trophy should be an Achilles Smith jersey, which I also love.
I don't know who that is.
He was a huge draft bust that the Bengals made at the turn of the century.
I like the Achilles name, Achilles heel. I get it, Austin. I see what you did there. That's nice.
That's exactly what he was doing. All right, who's next?
Jose's mustaches with 32.32 points.
Aaron gets a solid week. Finally,
He needed it.
Brian Hoyer,
Floopy doopy, floopy doopy Hoyer.
24 for 49, 234 in this pick. Brian Hoyer is bad.
Yeah, but going up against
Breaking
Colts
news.
Colts next week.
Yeah, I would exercise caution picking Brian Hoyer next week.
I might pick him, dude. Fuck
I
him.
think he's gonna be a boom bust. I think he could continue on the standard trend of getting you 20 plus points, or I think he could have a game like against the Rams where both teams are so bad that just nobody can stop each other, and they just start trading average touchdowns basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Hoyer was one of the more competent Cleveland quarterbacks that you guys had seen in quite a while.
That's what they made it seem like.
Yeah. But then didn't he have some bad injury?
I don't know.
Or something. Yeah, you blocked
Black.
those,
Yeah,
those
I
years
remove
out.
all those.
He's not looking good this year. That's the point.
No.
And he's going to be a consistent pick for weeks on end, I think.
I mean, road against Indy, road against Washington.
That
Three
road
road
against
games in a row,
Washington.
dude.
I'll pick
It's
him
tough.
up for road against
Washington.
Washington for sure.
third straight
After
road
after
game.
what we just saw this
When
Monday,
they'll be 0-4 because Indianapolis is going to beat them.
they probably will. I think that's all we got to say about Hoyer. He's bad. Moving on.
Moving on.
Drew finally gets a good week as well. Beats by Ray has 33.64 points this week.
He was due.
Tops the
He
leaderboard.
was due after I talked a lot of shit about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without naming names. 16 for 34 for Kaiser for 118. He's bad too.
He's bad.
real bad.
He's bad, and his receivers aren't helping.
He's bad, and Kenny Britt sucks so much. Oh my God, Kenny Britt is bad.
Don't. Okay. So I really can't come out here and stand for the Browns too hard, obviously, because we're not any good.
Of course.
I will do some minor standing for Deshaun Kaiser.
I don't know, man.
Not being aided by his receivers whatsoever. If you actually watch him play, he's one of the few awful quarterbacks we've picked up where I at least have faith that if he just stuck around long enough could develop into something usable. I do not think he is that now.
Yeah.
But I just
Okay,
think
that's fair.
I'm really hoping that we are just suffering through the Jared Goff freshman year of awful, and
Fair.
we'll keep building up by next year. But if you just watch the way that he stands in the pocket, steps up into the pocket, he has arm strength. Obviously, he's an athletic guy, and I think almost he was worried about, at least from like what I saw, it seemed like he was almost worried about leaning too heavily on that. Because that's when you see the really shitty, like, athletic quarterbacks in college come to the NFL. They just think run first, and then they get blown up. I want to see him start getting more first downs by just getting out of the pocket and picking up 4 or 5 yards instead of feeling like he has to force it to a dumpster fire that is Kenny Britt. But you know, he
literal
has
dumpster fire.
Yeah, but he has the confidence to stand there while our offensive line lets, you know, defensive linemen come straight at him and not panic. So like he's a little stupid and he's gonna get his head ripped off a few times.
Yeah.
But like Johnny Manziel, I feel like he was frantic under pressure. Like he couldn't even look downfield because he was already scrambling around. Like the ball was tucked.
That's true.
You know, a half second into his drop.
Back to the
right. So you're obviously not going to complete the pass, but Deshaun at least is looking down there still.
I think from what I saw last week, it looked like even when your receivers were open, when they made good cuts, that he lacked just a little bit of accuracy that he needed.
For sure.
He was just
it's definitely
just
not there.
a couple, just like at their fingertips rather than in the palms of their hands, and it wasn't like he was throwing under tight coverage. No, there were some wide open receivers that he just missed.
He was forcing them to have to make a difficult catch.
Right.
Which is then when we set up the argument of like, oh, the receivers have to help out the rookie quarterback. And it's like, it's kind of both people's fault. Like if it hits your hands in a reasonable manner, catch it. Like for the love of God, catch it.
But he was making people dive.
Right. But I was going to say, like, at least get it close to the numbers because
Right.
you're asking for them to make a highlight reel catch just for a completion.
And in his defense, when he throws it to Kenny Britt, it's generally right in his numbers. And Kenny Britt, unfortunately, he's had both of his hands amputated, and he literally can't catch anything.
Right.
I mean, I think that's a problem with rookie quarterbacks and having a terrible offensive line, though, is that
Definitely.
you're already panicking because you're a rookie quarterback, and he gets pummeled like 50% of the time.
Right.
That'll kind of up your scare factor, too.
There might not be anything more difficult in sports than being a rookie starting quarterback.
Right.
I don't know if because you're definitely on a shitty team.
Yeah.
You're not on a good team if you're a rookie starting quarterback, and you're expected to basically run the entire game.
Yeah, he's 21 years old.
Trevor Bauer.
It's absurd. How are you 21 and you have this much responsibility? I've never had that much responsibility.
It's crazy.
In my life.
If you
It's
see him
insane.
with his helmet off, he's a baby.
Yeah,
he's a baby child.
It's
insane.
Aaron says some ugly girls in grade school develop into hot girls in high school. That's good insight.
For sure it is.
Did Hogan go in this game?
He did. So that's what put Drew over the top. He got the 10-point benching bonus.
I thought I remembered seeing Hogan, and you know what? I'm gonna be a Hogan fan from here on out because I saw some good stuff out of him 2 weeks in a row.
He is fun to watch. I mean,
Hogan's heroes.
brother. I know that he rocked the Bengals for a quarterback rushing record when we played him last year. Yeah, I don't get how he's good. It's like honestly such a mystery to me.
Maybe he just doesn't have any stamina. Like he just comes in there and he's
we
a
just get him
sprinter.
for a quarter.
You know,
We need 4 Hogans,
Right.
And we will just play them in succession, one per
Right.
quarter.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was. I mean, it's a small sample size because he doesn't play a lot. But that was like the sketchy thing. It's like, okay, we sat Deshaun for like the migraine game when you guys were over, and it's like, oh shit, we just went on a very like smooth touchdown drive with Hogan. Is this going to become the QB debate and stuff like that? But that's something I'm happy about here. Like, I don't think there's any debate. I don't think we were benching Kaiser to see if like Hogan could give us a spark.
Right.
It was literally, we're going to lose this game. The last thing we need is for the guy we've kind of put a lot of our chips on to
get hurt, or
get
anything like that.
decapitated
Yeah.
when it's not even worth it anymore.
Right.
So I think that was the main reason there, but it certainly helped Drew out.
Yeah, which takes us through the whole list. I think it's segment time.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
What's first?
When do you want yours to go?
What are the other segments? Guess that
Who
QB.
said QB, and then it rolls right into this week in bad QB history.
Let's do mine first because it is a little bit more relevant to current events, projections.
Gator, don't look at the screen because I don't want there to be any spoilers.
It's not like a guessing game or anything like that. I just didn't I didn't want Tony to see any of the jokes before we started.
The jokes.
So this was initially, if you saw it in the group me, This was initially slated as Lauren's segment because I really wanted her to get on the podcast this week. As she was saying just before we started, she decided for the sake of her future professional career, some of the things that are said on this podcast probably shouldn't be recorded and cemented in internet history.
Fair enough.
Agree.
So this theme is
So
related.
Lauren's full name is
Right. Social Security susceptible to. So the theme of this segment is related to her career as a medical professional.
I like it.
So professional, sorry.
Professional.
Beer's good. And as you can see here, it's the nurse practitioner's husband will see you now.
I love it.
So this is basically an injury update. Some of these you guys are obviously going to know about. Other ones I tried to go a little bit deeper and just talk about implications for our league. So
This is helpful.
yeah. So what that's going to mean for the upcoming week's draft.
Okay.
Tony, can I get in here and just be the clicker?
Yeah.
Or-
Well,
oh,
the
it's
mouse is
not.
over
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
Just let me know when you want to
go for it so we can start the first one. So first patient here, Marcus Mariota. That's him walking off the field early or maybe late in the first half last week. You can click again. Pulled his hamstring, so he's listed as questionable right now. I'm pretty confident he's not going to play unless something changes. The Titans have had the backup quarterback, who you can see his stats below, Matt Castle. He didn't even play a full game, and he was one of our highest scorers.
He was the top undrafted
Right.
this
Love
week.
him.
So-
31.58 points.
Matt Castle's been doing walkthroughs with Mariota as a starter, and the Titans went out and signed Brandon fucking Whedon to give them sort of some more depth at quarterback. So
Not Kaepernick.
those are, yeah, exactly. Because Kaepernick has way less in common than Brandon Whedon with Marcus Mariota. Good Lord. So, I mean, all signs point to him sitting, and you can kind of see what that meant, Matt Castle leading their team. Houston is a good defense, so I think that's where a lot of those points came from, especially when he didn't have prep time as a starter. So I wouldn't expect a 60-point game, but I think you can click one more time. I think Matt Castle should be moving up
He's on the up.
in your rankings
I
right there.
like it. I mean, just looking at last week, he was top undrafted.
Right.
Which, speaking of that, Matt Ryan was the number 2 undrafted,
Really?
27 points, and then Jay Cutler.
Who did
20 points.
Who did Falcons play?
Let's find out. They played.
Detroit? Or was that last week?
They played. Where are they? The Bills.
Oh.
Gotcha.
23 to 17.
Another enigma for me, kind of like the Ravens, where I can't decide at the end of the season if we're going to look back and say the Bills were legit as a defense or not.
Yeah.
But I kind of have them in the same camp as the Ravens, where I feel like we're going to end up thinking that they were.
Well, it's just like the thing about the Bills is like their offense is shit. So like you don't know when you put that much pressure on a defense, sometimes it doesn't matter how good the defense is.
Right.
They're gonna break eventually if you keep give the ball to the other team when they're in
Right.
the red zone.
If
and
they're
shit like
only
that,
defending half a field every
Right.
time they get the ball.
Right.
Like, right.
It works. All right, next patient. We're ready for you. Derek Carr. So this is him getting helped up in the Denver game last week. He has the Tony Romo.
Yeah.
So he has a transverse process fracture in his
Ooh.
back. Lauren could probably explain that, but again, she's off camera right now. So
Fancy.
he's sitting for 2 to 6.
Back's fucking broke.
She says his back's fucking broke. If you couldn't see that. So a guy coming up behind him, EJ Manuel, kind of hinted at that earlier. We remember him, showing up in Buffalo last year, I believe,
Yep.
being a pretty reliable pick when he played. He was in for the last quarter and a half. That was enough for him to put up 12 points against Denver. I don't really remember what that game script looked like, if they probably just relied heavily on their running backs, but it doesn't seem like they aired it out with him too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch the game. I
didn't see much of it, but I'm gonna.
but
go
going
look
up
it
against Denver is tough
Yeah.
anyway.
So that's a tough defense, and that's a reliable score. Again, like we were saying earlier, their offense isn't really clicking, so I don't think this is going to help them in any way. So, oh no.
But hey, one interception in a quarter and a half. That's
Right.
That's pretty good.
I think that was late in the game. They were trying to force a few passes.
He had a QBR of 20.2.
Right.
11 for 17, 106 yards and a pick.
Which sounds not good.
Yeah. E.J. Manuel is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
Right.
Like,
Man, maybe I did pull the trigger too early on
Legitimately.
Bortles.
He wanted to make fucking history and make a pick on the
Whatever.
podcast 4 days
I
early.
literally no, I decided that 2 minutes before I did it. So, whatever.
That's how the best decisions are made.
Who cares?
If you give me one more click, we're gonna see the prognosis here. I'm gonna say move him up on your draft chart.
move him up big
He gets
time.
the green vertical arrow.
All right, I like it.
Next patient. We go away from the position you guys are used to. So Dalvin Cook,
Yeah, who is this?
RIP to my most valuable fantasy draft pick. Got him in maybe the 3rd or 4th round, and he was blowing up as a really reliable running back. Tore his ACL, out for the season. Implications of that, they don't really have a next guy up. Latavius Murray used to be top dog in Oakland. Isn't really getting it done. He had ankle surgery, and he's still not super healthy from that.
And also to add to that, Latavius Murray, when he was healthy, wasn't even that good. He
Right.
was just a volume guy who happened to get a lot of carries.
Right.
And his yards per carry was never high. So.
Right. So now on a new team, add in Jerick McKinnon. So RBBC is running back by committee, which if you're a fan of a team that does that,
Bengals.
you know that it's not good. So
Fantasy
there's
purposes.
yeah. So there's not a lot of flow there, and I think that's just going to put more pressure on the quarterbacks, whoever's in there for
To
Minnesota.
throw the ball.
Right. So there's 1 or 2 more clicks there. So for Keenum, I think he should be going up the board. And then for Bradford, if we click again when he finally gets back, I'd say he's more of a wait and see, because in the few games that he played this year, he was another guy that seemed like he leveled up. Like he looked really, really sharp, where he might be able to overcome shitty running backs. I think they're just gonna rush 3 and sit back in coverage and just expect that the running game doesn't really hurt him. So I'd say he's gonna be a good option against Chicago.
Yeah, it's a shame for Minnesota because it was my belief that they were going to kind of take the next step this year, and they've just been decimated with injuries. I don't know if any teams had more injuries than Minnesota, so it's brutal.
It's bad. So next up, this is Ryan Kelly. You got to preview the next slide.
The next slide.
The next slide's going to be an absolute piece of gold. So Ryan Kelly is the center for the Indianapolis Colts. He broke his foot in the offseason, so he's been out for the last few weeks. He is slated to come back into the starting lineup this week, so that's going to change the O-line a lot. First-round draft pick out of Alabama, going up against San Francisco, a squishy defense, as you might say.
Good matchup.
But I put him in just because, the centers obviously have a lot of responsibilities, calling out coverage and different things like that. So having the intended center in there, I think is going to be an upgrade for their line as far as protection goes.
Good thing to bring up. I would have never even thought about looking at that.
Yeah.
Is there more on the slide? I don't want to click off it.
If you click one more, we should get our prognosis. So
Brissett.
I'm moving Brissett down. If you're late in the draft, again, he's still not the starting quarterback, so I think he'll be productive, but I wouldn't expect him to be explosive, especially considering his matchup.
San Francisco's garbage.
But that was something I felt would be important to bring up because
Definitely.
the centers are kind of the unsung heroes, and I'll prove it if you click one more time that these guys really don't get enough credit because that wasn't even Ryan Kelly, and you guys had no idea.
Oh, that's great.
That's Ryan Kelly.
That's so great.
New starting center for the Indianapolis
Put a John
Colts.
Oliver on us.
I really did.
That's fantastic.
I'm really proud of
Austin
that.
wants to add that Ryan Kelly is a Lakota West grad, so local boy.
Oh, wow.
Is that good
Is
or
he
I
your
bad?
didn't know
boy?
what he
Is
looked
he your
like.
boy, Austin?
Yeah, I don't think he's his boy.
Not your boy.
Austin didn't go to Lakota West.
So this
Kenny
is
Britt.
the final one. So Kenny Britt, who we touched on earlier, here's an image for you. Fucking dumpster. That is Kenny Britt.
That one is actually Kenny Britt.
Right.
That-
That's really him in there. Um,
I love it.
So if you couldn't tell by my strained reaction when he came up earlier, I really, really dislike Kenny Britt. We picked him up in the offseason and paid him a fuck ton of
A
money.
lot of money.
And he just doesn't give any effort. Like he thinks that he's too good for the Cleveland Browns. And you're as good as the Cleveland Browns. Like you should be on our team because you're bad and we're bad. And you're acting like you're too cool to just run a route with any type of effort or crispness. And he just doesn't fucking care and he drops the ball. And he's the reason that Deshaun Kaiser looks a little bit worse than he actually should be.
I've seen balls go over his head that were clearly meant for him, but he acted like there was some other receiver behind him, and he was like, "Yeah, that was for that guy."
Yeah, I'm not getting that one.
I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah. So he sat out of practice today with a knee/groin, which I hope. Yeah, /vagina. Says the actual doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
So it's not sexist.
Right. So I'm
Cam
hoping that
Newton.
Hugh Jackson, the Wolverine, is just looking for literally any reason to bench this guy. Doesn't matter who is up next. Anyone who wants to be there will be better than Kenny Britt in my mind. We are at home next week against the Jets. So if we get one more click here
If you're gonna win a game,
for the prognosis, I'm moving Kaiser down in my draft
Oh,
stats. He's going from first to at least second. And I know that because first pick has already been made. So
portals, baby.
my projections have already been correct. But yeah, I think if you have really shitty people like that on your team, they not to be dramatic, but they can like rub off on other people for just not giving a fuck. And when you have a young team that's trying to rebuild, an old head that doesn't think they can get better because they're ready to just like call it quits.
Pack it in,
Yeah, I would rather just let one of the 9 fucking wide receivers we drafted in the 8th round. I would rather just let them play and see if any of them are good. So
Yeah, I think
That's what I'm doing for Kaiser.
when they signed Kenny Britt in the offseason, I was very confused because he did have like a decent season last year. Like he had a good year,
yeah,
but it was just weird that the Browns decided to, like, it didn't seem like that was a good fit.
yeah,
Like,
it
I
came
could
out of
see
left
him-
field a little.
Yeah, I could see him going to some team that already has like a wide receiving core where he can kind of be the third, fourth guy. But like, but I also
He's
think
not
like
the man.
the Browns did a lot of things with their, like, the way that the salary cap works in the NFL. Like, you have to spend a certain amount of money, essentially, right? Is that wrong?
I don't know.
'Cause they
I know
made
that
that-
we're in the race for just like the most extra salary cap.
Yeah, I
in
think
the league.
I think there's some kind of floor, and I could be totally wrong on this, but it seemed
you
like
got to spend it.
because they made the trade for Matt. Do you know this? What? Is there some? Do you have to spend a certain amount of money in the NFL, like on your roster?
Is it true that
there
if
a
you
floor?
don't use it, you lose it?
No, cap space, but you don't have to spend all of it.
Okay, well then I'm wrong. So never mind. Thank you.
Thanks
Confirmed.
to Matt, our stats boy.
Stat boy.
Yeah, well, they made that trade for Brock Osweiler, which was a lot of like cap freeing
Right.
for the Texans. But I
Right.
guess for
For-
some reason I thought
Well,
Doesn't matter.
Tony's wrong.
I'm wrong.
Just wrong.
Basically. And in a hilarious turn of events, I believe that Osweiler is signed just for free as a backup in Denver right now.
Really?
I think
Like they just ended up with him in the end because they were like, "Hey, he knows our system."
yeah, and they're like, okay, well the Browns are paying his salary. So.
Right. They're paying him like
Okay.
$500,000.
That's a good point.
Can I add something?
Yes.
So the 2011 NFL collective bargaining agreement, there was a clause that a minimum spending rule was included, and teams would be obligated to spend 89% of their salary cap space, like minimum.
Matt's wrong.
Tony knows his shit,
But-
dude.
Matt, you're fired.
The salary cap floor does not apply to any single season, only to the entire 2013 and 2016 period.
Oh,
That's-
so it's over.
So it's a
It's
multiple year
over a
span.
few years. Okay.
Yeah, that
Matt,
means
you're
not
half
being in compliance
wrong.
in any single year is not going to be.
Well, that sounds overly complicated,
Yeah.
which is how most CBAs are.
It's dumb.
Numbers are hard.
Thank you for that correction, Lauren.
Good work,
Appreciate
bub.
Lauren, you're hired.
Lauren, any other suggestions on the diagnosis from that I haven't brought up so far? Anything they should watch out for treatment-wise?
No.
Lauren says no. That's the end of my segment,
Well,
boys.
I love it.
That was
I
great.
love that segment.
Second segment.
No, that was it.
Okay.
It is a
Secret-
fantastic
Secret second segment?
segment. Austin says, "Shout out to Lauren."
Shouts out.
She did the raise the roof sign, which I think should lose her a shout out, to be honest.
I don't know. I think it was good. Okay. So what do we got next?
We got who's
Yeah,
that QB?
who's that quarterback?
That's what we've got. Line us up here, Tony.
I think that's hard.
Okay, this one, this outline is going to be a lot more difficult. Okay, it's
Oh,
just
God.
kind of ahead. Brian, did you see him? Damn it, Brian
Yeah,
saw
but I don't
it.
think I know who that is.
Okay, that's fine. Well,
You
Brian,
saw it. I zoomed in really far to make sure that no.
There's the
Oh, shit,
preview.
dude.
You have this stupid preview.
I tried to get rid of that last time. I don't know how to get rid of it.
well, okay. It's kind of going to be a play at home kind of thing. But, all right.
I'm literally staring at the real picture and I don't know who it is.
Okay, so send in your guesses, but we do have some clues. But we'll give you a second to look at this pretty distinct outline. It's clear that it's a head,
A smooth one.
a smooth head.
Creamy. Baileys.
I almost picked one of him. I'm trying to avoid.
Also, no,
ones-
it's a boy.
Don't say it if
Don't
you
say
know
it.
it.
Don't say it. I'm trying to avoid them in uniform because it's like then they just
Yeah.
look like everyone else, and I'm trying to pick like embarrassing.
Aaron says John
Pictures.
Kitna.
All right. Okay. I like that option. All right. Let's send in the first clue. Let's bring it in. First one, same as last week. Same first clue as last week. It's another
first
former
rounder.
first round pick. If that helps you at all.
It should help a little bit. Lauren's over here showing us pictures of quarterbacks.
Reverse Google image searching. Enhance.
All right. Let's bring in another clue. Here for him.
Austin says Trent Dilfer.
Okay. I don't even know.
That's
who that is.
Super Bowl winner Trent Dilfer you're talking about. Excuse me. Aaron also
Jeez.
says Matt Hasselbeck.
Okay.
You're just naming bald quarterbacks, which I think is a good strategy.
Well, that's a good strategy.
Did you guys see Hasselbeck bust open his head on that fake cake?
No.
That was
What?
him. Yeah, Lauren?
So funny.
I don't know
Yeah,
what that
so
bring that up
it was Hasselbeck's like 30th birthday or some shit. They brought him out like a football-shaped cake, but it was like on Cake Boss where they put like metal in it or something. And he jokingly tried to smash it on his own head, and it creased like this much and then like cut him over his nose. So he was like bleeding later in the broadcast. They had him all patched up.
That's really funny.
bleeding badly
That's
from
great.
the face.
Happy
Did not let
birthday.
him in.
I said no.
I said no.
All right, next clue here. This will probably help Austin out.
SEC graduate.
Austin automatically knows.
For SEC team, meaning not your boy Austin.
Not your boy.
Was this guy in the NFL?
He was.
He was for a short
He's in the
period of
NFL.
time.
All right, we'll bring in that third clue.
The third clue I think will help a little bit, but it's not as
Yeah.
groundbreaking
These
as the last.
clues.
I try and make it harder this time because it was too easy the last couple of times.
Yeah. Multiple comeback attempts.
There have been well-documented, high-profile comeback attempts for Jamar.
Jamario Moon.
You
For this guy.
fucking ruined it. You ruined it. Tony. Oh, man. Well, hey, send in your guesses.
Fuck,
If you might have heard that.
dude.
Let's see if they heard
Thanks,
it.
Austin.
Did they hear it?
Austin just said idiot.
It's Jamarcus fucking Russell.
What did he get arrested for?
Possession.
Being a really bad quarterback.
Mm.
Possession, definitely not. He gave saved it.
But I made sure. Normally I just have the outline and then show their face, but I wanted to include the mug shot in
Yeah,
this
that's
one. I thought
important.
it was really
Sorry
good.
for fucking that up, everyone. I
Man.
feel really bad. I'm not even really
Well-
that drunk. This is
Well,
only
let's
my
roll
third
into
beer.
your segment, Tony. I
all
guess
about
we
you.
wanted to just
Next
skip
time,
on to
next time
mine.
he's just gonna show the picture and go, "Gators done." My turn.
Oh man.
God damn it.
The thing is, when we try and coordinate these things, Tony makes me wait all fucking week until Thursday, and he tells me who the quarterback is, and then I have to rush around between work and class and cut his picture out and put up his clues, and then you ruin it. You fucking ruin it.
I got clue glue everywhere.
I apologize.
You shot your wad.
It's supposed to be a dry run.
God damn it.
Lord.
Okay, well, at least it was on the third clue, and nobody got it anyway, so that was a really good clue by Tony.
All right.
Just
I
say
think
the
Tony
first
saved
two
What
it
did he
to
do
syllables
in
of his
week
name.
4?
In
Or
week
5.
week 5 of 2008, Jamarcus Russell was in his second year. He didn't start every game in his first year. I think he kind of sat for most of the year and then took over towards the end of the year, but this was Week 5 of his second year, they lost 34-3 to the Saints. Never really had a chance in this one, although they did start the game winning 3-0. So, well done, boys.
How the turntables have.
Yeah, exactly right. Russell was 13 for 35 for 159, interception, 2 sacks, and a fumble. So not the worst game that you've ever seen, but for Jamarcus, he was having a real bad day that day. And fun fact about Jamarcus Russell, played just 3 years in the league and then was cut. He was the first overall pick in the draft in 2007. And he was the quickest quarterback to be drafted number 1 and be cut.
And then,
Jeez.
Which is why a lot of people say he was the biggest bust over someone like Ryan Leaf. Even though I think Ryan Leaf has to be number 1 because of just how fucking bad he was. I mean, he was worse than Russell. Like, Russell actually had some decent games. Like, it's not like he was just shitty every single time he was out there. Ryan Leaf was literally just like ass every time he was on the field.
He was a butt.
But he did have 2 comeback attempts in 2013. He tried to come back, and everybody said he was way too fat.
I do remember that.
Turns out he was. And then in 2016, he again tried to come back. Turns out he was fat again.
He's still fat.
And still. So it didn't work out. But yeah, I remember in 2013, there was a lot of press on his comeback, and they just kept showing clips of him like working out, and he looked like a fucking right guard. The guy was huge.
When I was searching for images to choose,
Oh
it
my
was
God.
either this or a really picture of a really fat picture.
He was huge.
Yeah,
And there's a
big
lot
dude.
of photoshops of him even fatter. If you Google Jamarcus Russell fat, you get some good pictures.
Which I think we've all done from time to time.
Yeah, so I love Jamarcus Russell personally. I think he's a great piece of football history and a cautionary tale. If you are picked number 1 overall and you hold out, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did. So kudos, Jamarcus Russell. Thank you for your
Thanks for that
contribution.
beautiful segment, Tony.
Fuck
That was
off,
lovely.
dude.
Let's start having some users bring in some Q&As.
Yeah,
some
let's
Qs.
get to
We'll
this
supply
Q&A.
the A's. We'll supply the A's. You bring the Q's.
All right.
I don't know what
I
else
think
to
we
say.
might have to shut it down after that.
I'm not.
That's it.
I'm not
It's over.
drinking.
Should
I'm not.
probably
I need
move
a
out.
beer. That's what I need.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I do want to say while we're in this, hey, Lauren, you're on TV. Hey, girl. Thank you for having me on. First off,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
it's a great honor.
Anytime.
I feel a little less nervous than the first time I was
Good.
on before the video days. But just huge compliments on the new studio
Wow, thank
that you
you.
guys have moved into. It's really great to see all of like my membership fees
Mm.
being put to good use and
Right.
putting you guys, quality equipment.
Mhm.
You know,
Surroundings.
thank you for that. And also, I will say that the next improvement for the studio will be some wall art right here. So there's some to look
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
Right now, just that piece of plywood
I
and
would
a
say this
mirror.
piece of plywood's really rocking.
The mirror on the
They've
ground.
been there for a long time.
The Josh McCown will have to hang
Yes.
behind us.
The Josh McCown might have to go up there. I might have to get if Gator can give me a vector of the logo, I might have to get a big printout of the logo. and
Yeah,
put
I've got
up
it.
on the wall.
I've got it.
I may have to go ahead and do that.
That's a good idea.
Then we can remove that lower third there.
That's a great idea.
Aaron says, "What would you name your boat if you had one?"
Bodie McBoatface.
Quick.
Great answer. I would of course name mine Lil Boat.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. Okay, which Lauren is that you commenting, Lauren?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I was wondering like how Brian's not typing, but he's coming up as as a comment.
Man's not typing.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something football related because this is a football podcast,
That.
but I don't know a bunch. Well, if I'm just gonna name it, the SS.
Nope.
Kaiser.
Oh come on, I can't have SS. I don't know, man. The reptile.
I could tell that you didn't know.
I don't know.
Bad.
That's not fair of Aaron to do that to us.
Yeah, I don't know boats.
I still the only pop culture boat name that's hot right now.
Yeah, that's
How about Lil Yachty?
I'll count it.
already said by Lauren in the chat.
Did she? I'm not in the chat.
Well,
Lil Boat and Lil Yachty said first.
Wow.
Right here.
Well, fuck me. Next question.
Next
That's all we
question.
got.
Damn it.
We need better questions.
All right, well,
more questions.
so while we're waiting or while we're wrapping up, I am going on the draft value sheet. I'm going to add the schedule for upcoming podcast guests.
Nice.
what does the
So,
draft value sheet say?
what do you mean?
Like, what does it do?
Oh.
What's the draft value?
Well, let's have a quick rundown of that right now.
Oh,
I don't understand how
sorry.
it's fair that the person in last gets to score 12 points, but if you're in first, you can only lose points.
Austin
great
is
point.
ripping his face off right now.
Austin did ask a question before that I missed. He said, "What QB looks most like an animal, and what animal do they look like?"
That's fantastic. The first one that comes to mind is Blake Turtles, but that's just because
That's what I thought.
that's
I
just
mean,
because we
Mike
called
Lennon-
it Blake
Because of the
Turtles.
Mike
Photoshop.
Lennon is a giraffe.
Giraffe for sure.
Yeah.
You got that.
Man,
That's a great question.
Brady could be like a beaver.
He's way too handsome to be a beaver.
He's a
Yeah.
big old grin. He's got big old beaver teeth.
You're just jealous.
Cutler, straight sloth, if I've ever seen.
Jay
Jay Cutler
looks
is a
yes,
sloth,
Lauren
Lauren says.
Jay Cutler's a sloth.
Perfect.
I agree.
Andy Dalton, red panda.
Ugh, he is not cute.
His wife's pretty cute.
I just
You
went
seen
with the
her?
red hair.
She's all right.
I would assume so.
Alright, or is she cute?
Little blondie.
McCarron's wife.
She looks like somebody who would marry Andy Dalton.
Is she worth Googling or not?
Like
Google-
she's not AJ
Google
McCarron's
McCarron's.
wife.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Google McCarron's.
AJ McCarron's wife?
Dime.
Fabulous.
I don't know who else. Who else we got?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of something with like spikes on its head because that's kind of how Deshaun wears his hair.
Like a porcupine.
Aaron, Austin
yeah, but they're
says
not that long.
Eli Manning looks like a pig with Down syndrome.
Oh, Andy Dalton, cute. That's perfect.
Little
That's actually
cutie.
perfect.
I saw them at Chipotle once. Does he have a baby?
He did.
I believe he
New
does.
Year's
Yeah.
Eve.
I saw his baby.
You tweeted it or you grouped
He tried to throw
Yeah,
it to his
yeah.
wife, and a guy stepped in front and stole it. She is cute. Not as cute as you, babe.
Nice, dude.
Nice, good save.
Gag.
Nice job.
She's cute.
Don't patronize me.
So yeah, Marianne will be on the podcast next week. She's gonna be here in person.
Yes,
No way.
in town in
Live.
Erlanger.
Boo! Lauren says boo.
The first place.
Boo this man.
The first place Locust Horrors will be
For
on
now.
the podcast.
I hope that name sticks around. That's a great name.
By next week, she's not going to be in first. I'm calling for another negative week out of Marianne.
Wow.
Okay, who's gonna be in first? Him.
I guess by default.
Right.
But of no doing of his own.
Hey, I'll take by default, baby.
Baby.
So after that, I know Austin wants to get back on here. But if anyone else
Yeah.
wants to get on, I think Tom wants to get on here at some point.
Of course. If
Um,
you want to be on, just let us know.
Let us
via
know.
text, via phone, via Kick. I don't know
Uh,
what the kids use these days.
Smoke
Good
signal.
point is at the end of the month we won't be available that Thursday.
We're gonna have to do an
we're going
early
to Gatlinburg.
podcast.
So either
Oh, no, that will be a Gatlinburg podcast.
Do a
No, we can't
Gatlinburg
do
live
that.
stream.
Oh,
Gatlinburg podcast.
it's quite a bit of
Should I
quite a
bring
bit
my
of
tower?
equipment.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
In the mountains.
So we'll have to do it early or something like
We'll
that.
figure it out.
Yeah,
I mean, there's Tuesday and Wednesday. Those are also
know.
days.
You can
But-
do it Wednesday.
we gotta work it around my schedule.
Do you have any of the technology that they use for like witness protection interviews, where like
Probably, yeah.
their face is all blurry and
Uh,
because I really think Lauren would be an asset to the pod as a guest, and I
Absolutely.
need some way to mask her identity.
she doesn't want
Also,
to know.
cut what I'm saying right now from the podcast, so
I
that
can
they
see
can't
what I
come
can
back and
do.
determine this.
We'll
I
figure
can
it
do
out.
like a
We'll have her sitting just off
Arrested
screen.
Development, like my name is Judge sort of situation, where it's like a puppet. Could do that.
What was the name of the puppet in Arrested Development?
Franklin.
Yeah, Franklin. It's not easy being brown.
It's not easy being white.
You freak bitch.
I don't want no part of your tight ass country club, you freak bitch.
Quotes.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
wrap
way
this
off.
shit
Yeah,
up,
we're
dude.
way
Yep.
off topic here. All right.
Aaron says wear a low cut top. That's what he says for next week.
Take it easy.
I'm pretty sure he was saying that about Marianne.
Yeah.
Gross.
Oh, come on,
She's a
Aaron.
married woman.
Come
How
on,
dare you.
Aaron. Jeez. I hope he wasn't talking about Marianne.
Ariane.
Ariane. Shh.
Maybe you want.
Now I sound like the
fucking
idiot.
blood and soil over here. Take it easy.
All right. Well, I think that was a great show. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Thanks for being one of our listeners every week, and we'll can't wait to have you in that role next week. So because we need you.
Can't wait to be back.
Well, we need you. Anyway, I'm Gator Shrand.
I'm Tony Diotel.
So, well, sorry. All right.
I need more attention, please.
Lauren interrupted our sign off.
Signing off?
Who is signing off?
We are.
Lauren and Brian Rankin.
I didn't think we were allowed to mention Lauren.
There
but
it is.
Anyway,
We're signing off.
we're signing off, everyone.
And this fucking
Good.
train
Goodbye.
wreck.
This
Cancer.
3-step flop.
That was a mess.